Today is day 32 of my vegan year. This means that the first month passed. I would like to share with you 5 things that I noticed and learned in January. I never feel really full. Another thing which I was worried about are proteins. Point number 4 is about bloating. At the end of the video there is going to be also a bonus content. A few days ago, I discovered that I am not the only one that embraced this challenge. Of course, there are millions of vegans around the world. However, I'm not speaking about this, but regarding the Veganuary challenge. What is this? Veganuary is a challenge that is repeated annually and consists in eating only vegan during the whole month of January. You can sign up online and receive support, suggestions, and you also have access to a recipe database that will help you to get through this challenge. Within 10 years, this challenge became increasingly popular, I would say in parallel with the vegan diet. On the first editions, the participants were only around 3,000, while the one that just ended was joined by something around 25 million people, including several celebrities such as Joaquin Phoenix and Billie Eilish. Thanks to this initiative, there is a considerable environmental and ethical impact. For every million of participants, 6 million liters of water, 100,000 tons of carbon dioxide and 3 million animals are saved. Without knowing it, I participated in this challenge and I can say that my Veganuary was very successful. Now I just need to complete Veganuary, Vegarch, Vegavril and so on. Speaking about this, about the difficulty of eating vegan, another thing that I discovered is that it is all about habits. Before the beginning of my vegan year, when I decided to eat only vegan for at least 1 year, I was a little bit worried that this would have been very difficult from several points of view. But more than anything, because I love all kind of food and it's very difficult for me to limit myself when there is food involved, or if I want to go out for a dinner, for example. However, on the other side, I love challenges, also extreme ones, and in my life I have already done several. For example, marathon, Ironman. So from this point of view, I was sure that I was going to complete this one no matter what. Because these challenges helped me to feel comfortable when I'm out of my comfort zone and also helped to build a strong mindset. On this subject, I would like to open a small parenthesis. It was 2016, Cristiano Ronaldo and Novak Djokovic were already 2 of my idols. I was initially thinking to myself and then speaking with my friends that they are people like us, and if they became the best, it's because of their mindset. I wanted to prove that anyone can do extraordinary things if this person really wants to. For this reason, I started with the marathon, and periodically I like to challenge myself into joining extreme challenges. That is also why I would like to make an interview with Novak Djokovic, because he has always been an inspiration for me. We know everything about Djokovic, the number 1, the champion, the record breaker, but I am also interested in discovering Novak, the one that is eating plant-based, the one that is not giving smartphone to his kids. To realize this dream and goal that I have, however, your help is very important. What I'm asking you is to go under the last post of Djokovic and leave 1 year vegan as a comment. This way, he and his team could become aware of this YouTube channel, and this would help me to organize the interview and make this dream that I have come true. Coming back to our topic, I said that it's all about habits because with each passing day I am getting used to this new diet and it's becoming easier. Hold on, I don't mean that this is going to be easy, but just that my body and my mind are getting used to it. During the first days, I remember that sometimes I just wanted to eat a juicy steak or flavor a fresh mozzarella, while now this happens a lot less than before. I'm pretty sure that if you have an over 30 years old habit, it is almost impossible to instantly forget about it or immediately cancel it from your life. However, with consistency and a strong strong mindset, I am convinced that nothing is precluded and you can achieve everything you dream of and complete all the toughest challenges. For this reason, I am sure that if nothing major happens, I will be able to complete my vegan year. Also because I can't wait to see the faces and the reactions of my friends and family when at the end of the year I will tell them that my decision of going vegan was also a social experiment. Another thing which I was worried about are proteins, because I know that for vegan it is more difficult to meet the daily protein intake. However, after the first days in which I was a little bit struggling, I discovered that with a good organization it is not that difficult to reach the target. What I noticed though is that between Italy and Poland there are a few differences in terms of vegan products available. I am pretty sure that this is related to the demand, because in Poland there are more vegans than in Italy. I also need to take into account that when I am in Italy, I am living in a small town of 15,000 people, while in Poland I live in a big city, so the offer of vegan products is of course higher. Even though, in general, the offer of this kind of products increased and there is more variety if you compare it with just 10 years ago. So, from this point of view, it is definitely easier to go vegan now than it was before. While during the first days it was a little bit harder to meet the daily protein intake, now I'm not having any problem with it, as you can see here. This was just a few days ago. On the other side, I'm still convinced that the vegan offer in restaurants is still quite limited regarding dishes, in particular protein ones. For example, you can find baked potatoes almost everywhere, but it is very difficult to find tofu or tempeh unless you go to a vegan restaurant. Point number 4 is about bloating. Before starting this challenge, I was checking articles, looking videos and so on in order to be ready and to know what to expect. Something very common between people that were going vegan is exactly that they were bloated and they were feeling this sensation of increased pressure in the stomach. This happens because the fibers daily intake when you eat vegan is higher, as you increase the consumption of plant-based food, which is precisely high in fibers. Another reason is because plant-based diets are higher in FODMAPs, which are short-chain carbohydrates that aren't properly absorbed in the gut as they are poorly digested, so they might cause bloating as well. To my surprise, however, in this case I didn't experience the symptom of bloating, probably because before going vegan, when I was an omnivore, I was already introducing enough fibers with my diet, so my body was already used to it. Actually, it is quite the opposite, meaning that I never feel really full. You might think that this is connected with the fact that by eating vegan my calories daily intake is lower. However, this is not the case because I'm introducing exactly the same amount of calories than last year, as documented by these 2 screenshots from the tracking app that I'm using. This one is from last year, while the second one is from just a few days ago. As you might be aware from previous videos, I am introducing the same amount of calories and doing the same physical activity than last year, because by doing like that, when I'm going to do the analysis at the end of the year, the results and differences with the ones I have done before going vegan will be more interesting and relevant. Anyway, I find the fact of never feeling full a little bit particular. Well, not so much considering that I am good for, but because when last year I was eating, for example, 2500 calories, at the end of the day I was feeling very full and I could barely eat something else if I wanted to. However, one day in January this year I have eaten 2500 calories and at the end of the day I was still super hungry. In your opinion, guys, what could be the cause? Share your thoughts and let me know your point of view in the comment section. Wow! Last but not least, what I noticed is that I feel good. I feel good. Some of you might think that this is obvious or ordinary, but personally I didn't know what to expect when I started this vegan year. For me, everything is new, and I'm discovering it as I go along. I was expecting to feel bloated, but I didn't. Other than that, I didn't know what to expect. For example, regarding vitamin B12, an essential vitamin that is lacking in vegan food. At the beginning, I was planning to take pills as a dietary supplementation for B12. However, I noticed that by using these few foods every day that are fortified with B12, I'm reaching the required daily intake of B12. However, just to be safe, I decided to make analysis at least of B12 halfway through the year, and if the value is not going to be good, I'm going to eventually use pills until the end of the year. This way, I would like to check if it's possible to be vegan without the need of using pills, which I don't particularly like unless it's very necessary. However, if my levels of B12 are going to be good, please don't feel free to go vegan without using B12 supplements and without consulting a nutritionist first. I have carefully planned this diet in advance. Also, what is valid for me, meaning for my body, might not be valid for somebody else, for a series of different factors. Anyway, I don't know how it is going to be in the next month, but at least for now, I feel very good from the physical points of view. Actually, also from the mental point of view. Another thing is that I also feel lighter, even if my weight is still around 77 kilos. Do you know this feeling that you are about to explode whenever you eat as there is no tomorrow? This feeling of heaviness and fatigue? With vegan diet, even when I eat a lot, I'm always feeling light and clear-headed. Let's see how it's going to be in the near future, during next months. If you are also curious and want to follow my journey, subscribe to the channel and click on the little bell to receive an update whenever I publish a new video. There are still 11 months to go. As you might know from previous videos, I made this choice also as a social experiment. Apart from my mother, brother and fiancé, nobody knows that I'm going to open a YouTube channel. I just said to everybody, meaning friends and family, that I was going to go vegan to document their reaction and to see if something changes in my regards just because of this decision. What I noticed though is that even if some of them are kidding on me, they are always doing it with affection, just to have fun together and definitely not with hate. Speaking of which, yesterday, one of my best friends said that he's going to publish one meme on vegans per day until the end of the year. I find this quite funny. Another very important thing I noticed is that people around me are now very curious about my choice and about vegan world. When you don't know something and this thing is far from you or far from what you have experienced in your life, I think that it is quite normal to be skeptical, suspicious and diffident. However, when this particular thing in some way get closer to you, you might be curious and interested in understanding it more. In this case, even if some people that are close to me are suspicious about vegan diet because it is far from everything they know, the fact that a person which is very close to them, a person that they trust and they have faith in, made this choice is making them in some way curious in discovering this world and understanding it. That is why at the end of my vegan year, after that friends and family are going to know about this social experiment, I have decided to make them try a vegan lunch or dinner to satisfy their curiosity and also to see what they think about it and simply if they like it. Guys, the fact that I'm having this vegan year doesn't mean that I am pro-vegan, pro-omnivore or against this or that category. I am having this vegan year with an open mind and without taking sides in advance, reminding to myself and to you that we need to look at things from different perspectives and different points of view, instead of judging somebody else just because he is different from us. That is why on this channel you are welcome, whether you are vegan or you are omnivore. In conclusion, this first month as a vegan has been very interesting from several points of view and I can't wait to see, feel and experience what's next.